Hi everyone, I'm April and welcome to Ask Vinnie Thompson Daily Zoom meetings. Today we'll talk about how to choose a real estate attorney with a very special guest, attorney Jonathan Rosen from Law Offices of Jonathan M. Rosen. So Vinnie, take it away.
Thank you very much, April. Today, once again, I'm bringing value, I believe, to the people in the legal field looking to buy a house, sell a house, or if you have any issues involving real estate. To my friends from out of town, you may not understand the value of having a good attorney in your corner because you may not be in an attorney state. But New York City and New York proper is an attorney state for the most part in the five boroughs, and you need attorneys. More importantly, you need good attorneys. I've been very fortunate to have been referred many good attorneys. Jonathan Rosen is definitely one of them. So I want to have him as my guest to kind of explain why you have to choose and hopefully be referred a good attorney. It's a small process, but also a very big process. You don't realize the value of having a sharp attorney until you need them, right? Kind of like insurance. And once again, I know I sound like a broken record. Having a good attorney is an integral part of the deal. It can make or break your deal as far as you getting a house or not getting a house or getting into trouble or going to court or not going to court. And you want to make a deal, preferably, and not go to court, and you want to get it done. So without further ado, Jonathan Rosen.
Well, thank you, Vinny. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and your clientele and your Facebook world. I am Jonathan Rosen. I am the principal attorney at the law office of Jonathan Rosen. We are located in Garden City, New York. I have been at this present location in a couple of spots there since 1994, so that's about 26 years, the same spot. I've been practicing for 36 years. So when you're looking for an attorney, I think the primary thing you need to substantiate for yourself is that you need experience. I've been doing this, like I just said, for 36 years, and I have been focused in the real estate world. We represent buyers and sellers both of residential and commercial real property. We represent landlords and tenants both on commercial and residential side. We have a strong mortgage lending practice where we represent institutional lenders and we represent private lenders, what they call hard money lenders. And we are involved with title companies. They seek our advice sometimes with regards to title issues. So we've handled we've sat on every side of the table, so to speak. We've handled every type of situation that can be incurred. A big focus of our practice these days is representing distressed sellers, meaning people that have difficulty. They're either underwater or they need to get out of their homes in a hurry. And we also represent the buyers in those transactions. So we're intimately familiar with the title issues that go along with those matters. And they tend to be a little bit more complicated because people have gotten themselves in either a spot of trouble. There are a number of liens on there, liens that they weren't even aware that they had. So they're basically, after 36 years of doing this, I can honestly look anybody in the eye and say that there is nothing we haven't seen as of yet. Another reason why you would want someone to experience is because, A, we've been there. And like I just went over all the different types of things that we do, we're very sensitive to the nature that this is singularly the most important transaction that you're going to be doing right now. We recognize that. So we're very comfortable in saying that we are the guys to go to when you have a first-time home buyer. We are going to treat you like you need to be treated, meaning we're going to assume that you know nothing unless you tell us otherwise, and we're going to walk you through every step of the process. We're going to give you a flow chart of what to expect on a timeline basis. We're going to be there to communicate with you. One of the things that I pride myself on is communication. I am very comfortable looking everyone in the eye and saying that we return all phone calls or emails the same day that we get them. I may not do it 5 minutes later, but again, I don't sleep so well anymore. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, I see an email from you. Don't be surprised to see me send you back an email at 4:05. And Vinny, you're laughing because you know that I've done that.
That is correct. That's correct.
Right. So So that's really the primary attributes that I have that make me, I like to think, a little ahead of the game, a little ahead of the curve of my competitors and the people that do what I do. That's really what we're about: communication and service.
Now, you mentioned something that was really key, right, in the process, Jonathan. You said you represent buyers, sellers, and banks. Walk us through in a closing, how many of those are going to be at a closing? So like the people
Sure.
who have bought or sold.
Okay, so when you are one of the principal parties, either a buyer or a seller in a real estate transaction in New York, you show up at the closing and there is a horde of people there. And especially the first-time home buyer doesn't really understand, what are all these people doing at my closing? and while I am very, I want to just go on a little tangent here. One of the things that also sets me apart from my competitors is I don't meet my clients for the first time at the closing. I have a lot of attorneys out there that have their paralegals deal with things either via mail or email, and they never meet their attorney, and their attorney introduces themselves at the closing to them, saying, "I'm so-and-so, I'm your attorney." That never happens in my office because I want to make sure that my clients understand what they're doing. And the only way that I am going to ever feel comfortable, since my name is on the door, is to look them in the eye and explain it to them and make sure that before they leave that day, they know what's going on. And that's part of the communication process. But going back to the physical presence of all of the people at the closing, so I'm going to be there, whether I'm representing you as the buyer or you as the seller. The other side is going to be there, like the Hatfields and McCoys. The McCoys are going to be there with their attorney, okay? If there's financing involved, and there usually is, there's going to be a lender's representative, whether be the bank attorney or a paralegal from the lender's attorney is going to be there. He's going to proffer the loan documents. He's going to fund the loan documents. Then we have another integral party, especially this is in New York. The non-New Yorkers, you might not understand this. There's somebody who has the role as the title closer. They are the representative from the title insurance company. They're the ones that are going to take the documents, get them recorded at the requisite county clerk's office. They're also the ones that are going to insure the title for the bank and for the lender and for the buyer. They're going to make sure the title is clean. And the job as the seller's attorney is to provide all the proofs necessary to get the title clean. And the buyer's attorney's job is to make sure he receives a clean title. So there's a lot of mutuality and interest. Additionally, at the closing, sometimes there'll be a representative from the lender himself, either a loan officer who likes to make sure that his deals get done. I'm always impressed with the loan officers that show up to their closings because that means they care and they want to lend a helping hand. Then we have the buyers and sellers, real estate brokers are there as well. So we have a ton of people. You can have as many as 10 to 15 people at a closing. And oftentimes with first-time home buyers, I get two sets of parents. So they don't add other than they're sharing in the emotional joy of their children, buying that first house. So
I always tell my buyers, Jonathan, look, I said, we're going to go to the closing and you're going to have an imaginary bag of cash on your shoulder. And you're going to drop that cash in the middle, right? Because you're going to sign, seller's going to receive for the basic part. So you pay everybody and say, I swear to sign this document and I'm going to make the payment. So one day in the future, you, the buyer, will be like that seller. After, God willing, you have kids and live there a nice long time and you're ready to go or ready to sell. And having good representation is key. I always like doing closings with you, Jonathan, because of what you just said. You get it done. It's important that people like yourself have no ego, but know what you're doing too. When to push, when to back off, and when to get things done. Because that, Jonathan, I'll tell you, can make or break a deal.
No question.
I like to pride myself on, what do you need from buyer and seller? You need this painted, this FHA rule. What do you need done? I think you and I both don't do drama. We want to get the deal done because drama can kill deals and time, turning around contracts. You want to speak to that a little bit, Jonathan?
Sure. So as the drama, and again, that comes with the experience, Jonathan Rosen has been practicing for 36 years, the same Jonathan Rosen that was practicing years 1, 2, and 3? The answer is, of course not. I've gone through the wars already, butted heads with people for what, in retrospect, was probably for no good reason. And so you learn when to, like you just said, when to push and when not to push. when to get it done. You don't want to win the battle and lose the war. So certainly temperament plays a very large part in all of this. And, after having been doing this for as long as I have been doing it, there's a community of us. Most of the attorneys that do this fairly regularly know each other, and we know each other either personally or by reputation. And so reputation is incredibly important to me. So I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that, it's Jonathan, good, we're going to get this deal done. And that's right. and that's exactly what. Look, I'm not saying to sell my clients out, but more to the point, to get it done in the way that my clients want to do it. But there's a way to do it. Absolutely. There's a way to handle people. There's a way to talk to people. You don't need to be condescending. You have to be right, but you don't have to be condescending. And that is exactly where, that length of time that I've been doing this for really comes into play in a material way.
Yeah, and it is key for me having strong partners like yourself in knowing that it's going to get done. If there's a rocky road, you can count on the person to respond in a certain kind of way to get it. Because, in New York, the deals, they're not like, I don't know. The more I talk to my friends down south, I'm like, listen, we don't do stuff like that here. It's not the same thing, and I like to have that ability. Hey, John Doe says, I need this. I'm like, you know what? At this point, you need to speak to your attorney because they're going to handle that. And certain ways you want to correspond to put it on their lap so they can understand and respond to the attorney, to the bank in the proper way to protect you, from the what ifs.
Right. And like we had a closing, you and I, fairly recently where there were some issues that were going to have to take place post-closing. Mm-hmm. And it's because I had that strong of relationship with the other attorney on the other side that we were able to come to a meeting of the minds fairly quickly, fairly equitably, and it went smoothly, and we accomplished 98% of what we needed to do the day of the closing, and we punted on the other two for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and we got it done, and everybody walked away equally happy that there was comfort on both sides because they had trusted professionals that were working for them on both sides, and you know exactly which one I'm referring to.
Of course, and that's always good when you hear the attorneys know each other. It's like, okay, great. So it's not going to be that, or this, that, or that back and forth. That's always a very good feeling. I want to ask you something, Jonathan. We didn't have pre-described, questions about this, but I thought about it today. And me in the real estate field, my interaction is normally, hey, you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell, and then I make the referral if they don't have their own attorney. I always rely on the client if they have a strong relationship with their attorney because it's not my relationship. So I may call that buyer or seller to do the contact, with the attorney if I can't establish a relationship myself. So some people I've met before, Jonathan, say, you know what, I'm going to sell it myself. So, okay, well, who's going to represent you? No, my attorney's going to do the work. I said, look, I can't remember, Jonathan, you correct me. I think right now, the only profession I know where you take $0 from the person, depending on the relationship, and you do this amount of work and sign an undescribed piece of paper to do it is in real estate. And my thing with the facility, I'm like, look, the attorneys don't really negotiate. Terms most times that you may have already are easier. But when it comes to should the buyer be talking to the seller and emotionally and getting things done, I'm like, you might need that buffer. What is your recommendation when it comes to FSBOs, and have you dealt with them before?
I do, and I don't love them because the broker who comes into the deal generally has a world full of knowledge and has done more research on the home than the homeowner has in the past. You'll know what has a CO on it, what doesn't have the CO on it. They're always, we've got a permit 4 years ago. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me. I got a permit. That spells trouble to me, and they think if they have a done deal. So I always prefer to deal with the brokers when I'm representing the sellers because there's also a conduit. There are a number of brokers out there that have gotten my goat over the years when they have looked me in the eye or sent me an email or had a telephone conversation with me and says, I don't want to get in the middle. I said, and my response always is, well, if you go to Webster's dictionary and look up the word broker, the first synonym is middleman.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
so I prefer that the broker, I should be on the legal technical stuff. I should be the first line of defense.
Right.
You know, I'm going to see the contract of sale. I'm going to have spoken to my client directly. I'm going to make sure that the deal that is presented to me in the form of a contract is consistent with what the buyer has agreed to do, or if representing the seller, if the seller has agreed to do.
Right.
But there are times where attorneys either don't listen to their clients or say, I know better, and
Right.
try to put their thumbprint on the deal.
Right.
And it makes for a more contentious situation. But again, that's part of the communication that I espouse. I want to understand what the client is looking for, what their expectations are.
Right.
And again, my job is not to make business decisions for any of my clients. My job is to inform them, to make them full disclosure, to have disclosure that they know, informed choice. So I will tell you, I'll give them a flow chart, so to speak. If you go down this path, this is what you can expect. If you go down this path, this is what you can expect. And here are the results. So all of that goes into my conversations with them. But to answer your point, the initial question about this, dealing with for sale by owners sometimes can be difficult because A, they're emotionally involved. There is no buffer.
Correct.
Okay. And so the broker plays a very vital role in all of that.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's good for everybody to, like, you know, as you say, know their lane, right? And stay
That's
in.
fair. That's a fair way to say that.
Yeah, you know, because I know there's points where I'm just so glad I do have a good attorney, because I can't explain, you know, what it is you do. And
Mm-hmm.
certain things I need clarification on. I know I can always call him. Hey, Jonathan, what does this mean on the title? Is this going to stop the deal?
Right.
Can we do this in escrow? And I've had great attorneys, Jonathan, from upstate. And then they come here, they're like, oh my God, this is
It
so
is different.
like, we bid a whole $25,000 escrow. I'm like, 25 who and where? No, this is a New York City magic trick. It means less than nothing. We can get this done. And then the attorney on the other side can like, well, no, New York City is what they do. It's not as big as you may think, because, you know, having a local attorney that knows what they're doing,
That's
is
true.
crucial. You know?
That's true. That's true. I mean, given the breadth of experience that I have, I mean, having represented a lender and knowing what the lender's requirements are, helps me before the closing to make sure that, well, let's not waste our time with this because this is not going to pass muster. We need to attack this today.
Right.
Right. I mean, so, you know, and being lenders counsel, you know, knowing what the FHA programs are and what the requirements are versus a conventional versus a subprime type of deal that existed prior to the big crash of 2008. It's beneficial to know these things and know what the lenders require so that we can, you know, do this expeditiously, you know, do this quickly, you know, without wasting time and efforts and energy and not have to redouble back.
Sure. Now, you said, Jonathan, for 36 years, it's safe to assume you have some pretty good real estate memory muscle. Here we are in the face of yet another type of crash or recession, you know, that we haven't seen before. What's your feeling with this whole, you know, COVID-19, what they're implementing to protect buyer and seller, the contracts obviously taking longer as the goalposts for qualifying, not qualifying for loans, and everything changes.
Absolutely. They keep moving. And I do not have the crystal ball that I would love to have, even though I have 36 years of experience. However, the true real estate professionals that we deal with understand what's going on, and we're doing what's fair. Okay.
Right.
We are moving timelines a little bit more liberally, because we all understand that while we may be selling on this deal, we have 15 other deals in our file cabinet where the buyer's attorney on, and we're going to be running into those same exact problems.
Yep.
And there are factors that are outside of our control. I have recently implemented, when representing buyers, in adding a COVID-19 rider to my contracts, which gives us the flexibility, saying if we are impaired by virtue of the fact that this has happened, we need an extension of time, and we will be granted it without discussion, as long as we're acting in good faith.
Right.
So that's what I see. But you know, it's a little frightening a little bit right now with regard to the loan programs that the lenders keep retracting a little bit. But I believe that once the states open up a little bit and the lenders feel comfortable that the values are still going to be there, that the and people are going back to work, which I think is probably the biggest factor of them all.
Right.
Lenders are a little skittish about people not being gainfully employed right now or not having their foothold in their jobs.
Right.
I think the federal government's going to step in there, and I think they're going to loosen the credit up a little bit.
Right.
But
I
really,
think so.
Because really, real estate makes this economy go.
All day, every day.
Yeah.
You know. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, Jonathan, as usual, you did a great job. I really appreciate your time. Like I say, Jonathan M. Rosen, he gets it done. You know,
Right.
and you
I
get
appreciate that.
attention. You know.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for having me. If I ever have any question, or any of your colleagues or your listeners or your followers that have any questions, they can get to me through you, or I think you posted my credentials there. Be happy to entertain any questions, whatever they need. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Appreciate it. All right. Have a good day.
You too, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.